I'm your host, Tracy Davis.
And I'm your host, Patrick Trevino.
And this is the Layover Podcast. Okay, and we are live. So, Judy, thank you so much for coming to the Layover Podcast. We are so happy to have you and happy to have you in our home studio. It's good to be back here.
It is. Apparently, you're tripping up on your work.
I'm nervous now. It's been so long.
It's quite lovely. Thank you.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about who you are, your background. We want to know everything.
Okay. Again, thank you. Thank you guys for the opportunity to be here, and to everybody that's listening in. Judy Price, grew up in Tampa, Florida. I moved to Atlanta to go to college. I thought I was going to be a doctor. 2 years into pre-med at Emory told me that no, the doctor life was not the route I was going to go. I think for many people, organic chemistry killed that for me.
I've heard that horror story a lot. I went to Emory as well.
Yeah.
Brutal.
It is brutal. And then you find yourself a bit lost, because I was the first person in my family to go to college. I put myself through Emory. And I was going to get in and out in 4 years. Well, now what am I going to be? I'm 21, and I don't want to be a doctor anymore.
Yeah, right.
And the advisor said, well, what are you taking classes right now that you really enjoy? I said, well, doing really well in my history classes. And I was like, okay, well, let's explore this. You could go to law school, you could be a professor, other things. And I was just like, okay, whatever. I just didn't have, I didn't have some of those influences around to give me a lot of guidance.
Right.
And so I was just going half-assing it. Okay, sure. I got to get in and out in 4 years. That's all I was thinking about. I had my work study, I had my loans, and was just going to go for it. So I started taking more history classes, and I thrived. Just the whole element of reading and writing and research and analyzing, but then also presenting.
Yeah.
So I started to find that I could toe both sides of the analytic and the academic, but also the people side. So taking some of that information, then going out and even selling it, if you will. But I was still considering law school. Had a friend who said, I've got a connection. Let's intern, because you should go intern at a law firm first. And I'm so glad I did that, because I realized I didn't want to be a lawyer.
The amount of paperwork and reading and
this is kind of cool, because I'm also first generation college, and I didn't really have guidance on which direction to go. So it's almost like, I'm going to try a little bit of this. I'm going to try a little bit of this. I mean, I went from astronaut to law enforcement to border patrol to you know what, I'm just going to do business at this point. Right. And you're kind of just jumping around a little bit until something sticks.
And I will say this, my niece, a number of years ago, she's thinking about college, and she asked me two interesting questions. One, Aunt Judy, at 16, Aunt Judy, do you sit behind a desk all day? At the time, pre-COVID, I sat behind a desk, good amount. So I told her.
Right.
And then B, what should I study? What should I do? What does this look like? And all I had for her, and she was looking at some big universities, I said, just talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends. Ask them what their parents do. Just keep going and delving into something that you might sound of interest to you, and ask for a coffee date.
Yep.
Right.
And so same thing here. I was just exploring it on my own. I was just figuring it out as I went along. And there was something else, somebody else. If you believe in a higher power, we can all define that was still directing me at that point in time. So got to the law firm, the main partner there loved to argue. And I'm like, I don't like to argue. It's so contentious.
Katie's like, you feeling dirty.
And guess what? This was in real estate law. Holy cow. I mean, and there was arguing. So that turned me off. But I discovered early on at 2021, and what took me down a path of client development and professional services. It was almost as if it was something that I created 20 plus years ago. I was just naturally good at the combination of law and the people. So that same thing that showed up with my studies, I could kind of be in the middle. Yeah. I'm a mixture of both. And so I was just great with our clients. And before you knew it, I was there 6 years, and I was kind of leading the whole thing. I had an office in college. It was a smaller law firm with a window, and an office with a window in college.
They're going to be upset.
It's very different. Yeah, a very small law firm. But I mean, we worked hard, though. I mean, I would wake up at 6 a.m. to to get to the gym beforehand so I could work from like 9 a.m. to who knows, 10 p.m. at night. And we just cranked it out and the business started coming. And it was just, again, it was something where I'm sitting back thinking, well, what is this?
Right.
It's sales, it's client development, it's people, it's asking questions. It's that whole concept of we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? I didn't realize it then, but listening and also just I'm very empathetic in many ways too. So I like people's stories. I like connecting. And so people want to connect and people want to talk about themselves too. So that led me down the path of client development, professional services. Then I actually took a side step. I was doing client development in the banking space, worked for JP Morgan for a few years. Got that job because I had a friend there. Friend who was at the law firm was over there.
It's all you know.
Made a connection there. And then there was another real estate role. Well, it was another friend. She was a loan officer that I knew from the original law firm, and she connected me with who became my next boss. And it was just so many parts and pieces where there were connections, and people sometimes saw something in me that maybe I didn't have the confidence yet because what am I going to do? I'm not going to be a doctor anymore. Well, I'm not going to be a lawyer.
Right.
So what am I going to do now? And people I just kept working hard.
Yeah.
And I kept wanting to learn and grow. But here was the thing, Pat, you said business. I realized by my mid-20s that, darn, I really wish I'd done the undergrad BBA at Emory. For multiple reasons. Probably one of the biggest ones is that if you went into the BBA program, your grade point average reset at the time.
I did not know this.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I wish I had known that. I would have
But
done
Dad
it
is
too.
probably pounding his head into the wire.
Sorry, Dad. Because my GPA as pre-med was not pretty.
Trust me, I did pre-vet for a period of time, and I look back and I'm like, there was one place that made me feel truly stupid was Emory. Like I was so blessed to be there, but when you go into the school, you were surrounded by, I mean, bright, intelligent people, and I was just like, wow, this is humbling.
Wow, is that a study?
It was very, very humbling. Yeah, you were not
That's good.
you were not alone. You were not the shining star anymore. So that was just but business, and I had taken the GMAT. So I'd gotten married. So by this time I've been married about a year, had taken the GMAT because now I'm thinking I want to get my MBA. What's it going to look like? And then I wanted to go back to Emory. I had friends who were in the MBA program there, but then I started doing the math. And to go for full-time, leave career, only been married a year. My husband was supportive, but it's always about business cases and our relationship. You give and you take, and there was a lot of support behind it. So all that to say, I ended up doing Georgia State's part-time MBA program. Took me 4.5 years, y'all. Oh, that married, trying to work full-time, working more than full-time, part-time. I mean, that was just, it was a lot, but it was an investment in me. And fortunately, I had my husband who was supportive of it too.
Did you find going in that direction that the MBA, not that it would have meant a lot to you already, but meant more because of all the challenges and everything that you were not going through challenges, I guess not the right word, but all the things that were going on in your life. Like you couldn't just, like you said, it took 4 years to do it.
True investment of your time.
Like my MBA took me 3 years because I was already married, actually running a company at the same exact time too. So did you kind of like when you finally did it where you're like, wow, like I did it and it took me a little bit longer than usual, but I did it. And did it come easier to you though? Like the MBA, putting real life experiences into what you're learning now academically?
Very much so. I guess I was a little bit on the older side just because it had been a number of years and there were kids that I was there with also who didn't have the work experience. So I really valued having that work experience and that viewpoint already. And then, being in group projects, and especially with Georgia State, there are people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Right.
So you had a lot of individuals who were, I had a woman in it was my economics group that English was not her first language. And here she was having to contribute to a paper on American economics in English. So it also taught me so much more about working with people in different cultures.
Right.
And again, I was paying for it. So undergrad did mean a lot because I was paying for it. And then this one did too. And I'm glad that I did it, and the relationships. I still get together periodically with some of the friends that I made.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We try to, and these are friends that and I was gone from Atlanta for a number of years, which we'll get to, but they're still here and we're still connected.
That's awesome.
And now it's like, oh, you remember that person back then and the person that I'm here now. But it just reaffirmed that I love business.
Yeah.
So, all those business pieces is a part of the career, eventually landed me at a very large global law firm doing client development. But I will say that I had gotten a little burned by that part of my career path. In the legal space, while I said it was a small law firm where I started, they were totally fine with a non-attorney selling.
Sure.
But other law firms, when they brought me in, they were utilizing me as the first one to be that first salesperson, because there was this belief that we needed to have someone else help grow business, because not all attorneys go to law school to be sales professionals.
Right.
And again, that's where I could be the in-between. I understood and I could go toe-to-toe with many of the lawyers, but I could also help guide on the sales piece.
Yeah.
And so when I heard from this large law firm, and I said, actually, I'm not interested. I'm over it. And they countered back and they're like, time out. We are a unique team. We need someone like you in the Southeast. We've never had someone like that before. So there are these themes of increasingly larger companies where I'm part of a newly formed team.
Interesting.
So very entrepreneurial along the way in creating some of these roles or being one of the first in. So I still had those opportunities to make it my own.
We often call that, you call it entrepreneur versus entrepreneur.
Yes.
You're inside and creating something from
Yeah, you're creating a business within.
Yeah.
Without the risk of your own financial funds to do it, right? I mean, you're still responsible for the funds and stuff that come to you, but you really are building a business.
Yeah. Entrepreneur.
Yeah. And that I can reflect now and say that's what was happening. In the moment, the opportunities were there. I was saying yes or no. I was exploring. Even that role with the law firm, I went onto LinkedIn and there was someone in my neighborhood whose husband had worked there. So again, using my connection.
Well, you're really good at connecting the dots.
It's going to be a theme. We're going to hear it. I almost get on a soapbox around it. It's about people and not burning bridges and staying connected. Also helping. Anytime you can help someone else out.
Absolutely.
You might not be able to help as early on in your career, but pay it forward whenever you can.
1,000%.
And so that landed me at the law firm. But my husband and I had also started scuba diving and sailing.
Love scuba diving.
So we learned, we're in Atlanta, but we learned to sail on Lake Lanier and we learned to scuba dive through, I'm going to make a plug, Divers at Sea, Burton Dawn and Buckhead. And,
but not at Lake Lanier, right? You weren't diving in Lake Lanier, right?
Actually, for one of our certifications, we had to dive in Lake Lanier.
Did you see anything?
No, but that was part of it. The certification was called rescue. So you had to be able to navigate in any sort of conditions to rescue someone. So, and it's my understanding firefighters train the ones that are divers. They train in Lake Lanier for that too.
Well, it's Halloween season, so we won't go too much into what did you see?
There it goes. Barely my husband. We were having to hold hands,
Wow.
so I couldn't lose him.
So that was a hobby that you guys had, like interest that you guys had both, and then just kind of went with it.
Yep. So being from Florida, I love the water. I'm part mermaid, always will be. The water
You're
is
in
just
company with this one.
Yeah,
brings me peace.
it does. And my husband and I are both very active. So every other year we would go on some sort of a tropical vacation. When I finally said snow skiing is not my thing, I tried. Y'all,
Not mine.
Florida, it's cold. Don't like it. And my husband says, well, I need to do something more active. So that's where scuba diving came from. We're going to take these trips. Let's dive. Well, once you can sail and dive, you can go down to the Virgin Islands and start bareboating, as it's called. You can rent a catamaran 40 feet and up as long as you have a resume. and you can go out on these week-long trips.
Why are we doing this podcast all the time now?
These decisions right now is what's happening.
I know. It's funny. My colleague Josh now will be out networking, and we'll all be having a conversation like this, and then he'll just go, "Oh, by the way, ask Judy about her years on a boat." And it's like total mic drop.
Yep.
Everyone goes, "I'm sorry, what?"
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about anything else, so I don't want to monopolize the time.
Episode 2 is coming out in the Virgin Islands.
So we started going down there for vacations, and every time we'd come back, our friends would say, "That looks amazing. I want to go." So we're like, "Okay, well, next year." And so we did that for a few years, and honestly, I don't know where it started, but we just the idea of doing something else started to just creep in, and it was maybe it's a dive shop, maybe it's a beach bar. And then as we did these trips more, I'm like, wait, there's an actual industry around this. You can have a boat and you can create these vacations for people, all inclusive.
You're making people's dreams come true.
Yeah. So what does that look like? We so I'm at the law firm. My husband's in construction. They really needed him down in South Florida. Well, that's really close to the water, isn't it? If we're in South Florida, we could explore this a little more, continue working. And it also professionally gave me a chance to establish another market for my company.
I've been telling Tracy that we need to move our other business to Miami.
He's pushing that hard.
And we do business there already.
I hear you. Yeah. I mean, it was great professionally for both of us,
Right.
but then personally too, every weekend we were sailing and diving.
Yeah, you had to get in balance between life and work.
Yeah. And so that, and then it was at night. So when you're creating what eventually grew into this startup, and I will, her name, the boat name was Chaos Interrupted.
That's a badass name.
We'll get into that
That's
too.
amazing.
But or that might be the other podcast we're talking about.
From the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
I want
Just
one of those stickers.
Literally keep plugging the island.
We'll trade stickers. I want one.
There we go. I had stickers. So we eventually, every night, we were working on our startup, the boat business. And there was no manual that says how to start a charter business in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I tried, y'all. I mean, I was trying to find every resource that existed, and it took us a while to eventually get to the right players to understand how that worked. But in all of that, so here we are, like 2018, 2019, at night, we've got the name, we're building a brand, we're putting pro formas together. So here was the other thing, just kind of a lesson learned, but we're very much planners. So the idea of not just quitting and literally diving into
No pun intended.
that. No pun intended. We'll get very punted probably. To just go for that.
Yeah.
Judy back then, very risk adverse, I would say. So every time we decided to make type A, it needs to be perfect. I don't know. How are we going to afford this? What does this look like? So we did it incrementally. Let's save money. Let's make a plan. Let's talk to people. So that took a few years.
Very calculated. Yeah.
It's very calculated. It took a few years, but that was really that us starting as entrepreneurs to build this business. And so then we found the boat. We started shopping for boats.
How do you find a boat?
You do get an agent. You get a broker.
Really?
Yep, you get a broker. And also because we had been going down those many years in a row, we were familiar with pretty much what we wanted to buy anyway.
Right.
So we knew some of the brands. We knew what to look for. We were starting to understand the price point and what we could do.
And you're a people person. So you're networking, you're asking questions, you're getting all these answers, right? Like that's So she gets mad when I talk to everybody.
Mad is a strong word, but you will literally to a wall. He'll walk into a room and just start talking to a wall.
So we found the boat, went under contract, closed in January of 2020.
Oh no.
Yeah, we all know what happened 2 months later. And everything had been going, it looked like all the doors were open, y'all.
Right.
Like we kept asking questions, talking to people, there's these big boat shows. For us, lots of prayer too. But then I had this feeling like, I feel like a shoe's going to drop in COVID.
Yeah, I hate that.
But I say that we still went forward.
Right.
We had planned to launch our business November of 2020 on the boat. We started doing our outreach campaign. And interestingly, and we were so fortunate, we're one of the fortunate ones on the side of COVID that benefited because the U.S. Virgin Islands reopened pretty fast.
Yeah.
So a lot of people had canceled their international trips. And well, we can go on a boat. It's the most socially distant vacation. So y'all, our original plans, we almost doubled them for like off our original pro forma.
That's
because
awesome.
people were just like, oh, I want to go on a boat. I want to go on a boat. I want to go on a boat. So we went from, holy crap, we can't get to, so we had a boat. We'd be walking around our house. Hey, do you own a catamaran? I own a catamaran, because we couldn't get to our boat.
Wow.
Our boat was stuck because of COVID, because it was in the British they're females. She was in the British Virgin Islands, and we couldn't get to the boat because they were still shut down. But we went forward, and I mean, talk about this whole concept of downsizing too, because we moved to Miami from a bigger house here to a 1,500 square foot there. So we had to downsize once, and then downsizing again to a boat. You quickly learn what you need and you don't need.
Right.
So that was just, I am going to do a whole, and again, maybe another podcast.
Please.
I'm going to do a bit of a series for LinkedIn about lessons from the boat. As I've learned so many things about what you need and what you don't need, and just like personal characteristics that came
There's
from that.
more to life than things.
And also too, like being on a yacht, we do a lot of van camping, and so we're gone for periods of time too, is when things go wrong, it's up to you to figure it out.
Bingo.
Right. So especially with your spouse together, you have to work together to solve it, right? You can't just be like, blah, blah. You have to literally sit there. Maybe for 5 minutes you can do that. But afterwards, you have to sit there and you really have to think through this plan, right? How are we going to fix this? What's going to happen? So on and so on.
You guys understand it more than a lot of people. Absolutely. I mean, boats, other things break down.
Oh, yeah.
You're on the water in a foreign country. Like, what do you do? And we had paying guests. We had people that 18 months ago had booked this trip.
Right.
You think about when you put your out of office on, we were the reason people were putting their out of office on.
That's a good way of putting it.
No pressure.
No pressure. So something's going to break down.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out. So it's something else about me. I'm so much of a better problem solver now. Because if something was going to go wrong, I didn't want to yell for my husband every time.
And you have to keep still. You have to learn how to be steady because you have all these eyes looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, nothing's broken. Everything's fine. Go underneath. You're bailing out water.
Oh, yeah. It's a crazy experience and environment, and one that I would have never expected. Risk adverse Judy, who was climbing the corporate ladder, who went and got her MBA, to then, both my husband and I deciding to go on this crazy adventure as people on a boat.
Now, when you decided to go on this adventure, did you leave the corporate world to do this full time? And did your husband leave his job to go do this full time too?
We did. We both turned in our resignations. My boss said it was the best reason for resigning ever.
Yeah.
She'd never heard a resignation like that.
She booked the trip.
The firm was just, they couldn't, sometimes you leave and people are mad at you and they're like, okay, wow, I'm going to come on your boat. Yeah. I'm going to come on your boat.
It's very brave of you guys.
It is.
Honestly, it's very brave to just go on a limb, because you planned for this and you guys were strategic, but like to just do it.
Change.
It's a huge change.
I mean,
But
this
it's very
is
brave of
the
you
best
guys.
office environment, I will say. I mean, you're not going from a, corporate to a, little office room. You're going corporate to a boat. I mean,
Very
that's a
true.
big difference.
Very
It's very
true.
brave.
And then we started hearing that I was inspirational. We were inspirational to others who didn't have the drive or the desire or the balls to go for it. And again, that wasn't me. I mean, on paper, I tried so hard to just control everything and okay, it's gonna be fine. I got this job. The money's gonna come in.
Right.
To then, I had my partner. We had planned. And we at least knew and said, let's give this 3 to 5 years. And then here's something interesting, too, I'll say. Before we left, I was talking with a business owner, and we were still in Atlanta. So we had a house on the west side. So we sold the house. We sold almost all of our furniture or gave away things, too. Like once in Miami, and then we sold it. But before we left Atlanta, I was talking with a business owner about this crazy idea. And at the time, a number of years ago, there was still concern about your resume and if you were jumping from one place or if you had a gap.
Right.
What are people going to think? Well, COVID changed that. So, but this business owner said, Judy, if it doesn't work out and you come back, I'd hire you. And I'm like, well, why? He goes, because you went for something and you tried it out. I'm gonna believe that it still was successful. You just realized it wasn't the thing for you, and then you came back. Now I know you're here. You're coming back. You're gonna come work for me, and you are dug in.
Yeah, you're very. It shows to me. I translate that as it shows commitment. You're committed to a cause, and you're going to move forward all in on it.
And to yourself. I mean, you value what is going to make you happy, which is, I mean, it's admirable. It truly is.
That's why when I do interviews for staff, I let the technical people talk to the technical talk. I just want to get to know the person. Yeah. Because the resume is never going to show you what that person really is like. And I like to get to know the person.
Absolutely. Because now I am a living, breathing example of, on paper where I went to where I am now. But there's a thread throughout all of it that really ties it together. And it's not until you're on this other side or you work with someone like my colleague now who's seen it enough that he saw it in me, that he knew all of those experiences would, and we'll get to this, would put me exactly where I am now.
Yeah.
So we went for it. We did the boat business. My primary role was chef. Someone had to be chef. These are all inclusive. Many people have asked if this was below deck. If you know below deck,
I love that.
Not really, because it was just the two of us and there was no drama.
Yeah.
And we also were at a price point where for many people, this was a bucket list item. We had 70 different trips, y'all. We had probably around 250 people over the course of 4 years that were on our boat.
That's amazing.
And for the most part, amazing people.
Yeah.
Because we were unique. We weren't 25-year-old crew. We were in our 40s running a business, owning the boat.
Right.
So people treated us as such. They get on the boat and they're like, oh, tell me more about your background.
Yeah.
Like they would have so many questions.
It's almost like, do you think of it as almost like, because we just recently went, we're on this like national parks tour, but we just went to Key Biscayne.
Yeah.
And we chartered a private boat with a captain. He owns the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you're walking into someone's home. Like it's almost like you're going to show the respect because you're in someone's home. You own that boat. It's not like you're just a captain of somebody else's boat that you're captaining for a charter.
Yep.
You actually own that. That's yours. And so from a passenger standpoint, it's almost like, tell me all about this. How did you guys even come with this?
I did not expect that.
Yeah.
But that was the norm. And people would, it's a boat. You're shoeless. Put your feet up. They would ask me, can I put my feet up there?
Wow.
And so I'd jump up on the cushions and say yes.
I feel like that is unique. Nowadays, I would think people would just...
I will say our guests were mostly 40s, 50s, 60s professionals.
There you go.
So the way they'd already approached life was from a standpoint, the respect was just very natural that came along with it. We also had a dog. We had Jake the boat dog, and it also attracted... I'm going to write a kid's book. I got all these other things. Eventually,
I love this.
We got dog people.
Yeah.
If you're a dog person, you understand what that means.
Uh-huh.
And so it really made for a great experience, great people. As I was saying, my primary role being chef, I knew that going into it, but someone had to be the chef, and it wasn't going to be my husband. He's mechanically inclined. Captain is best suited for him. So a year or two into it, and this is where we're going to get real, I started to get unhappy and a bit resentful because I had to feed those people in and out every day, and I was missing out on a lot of the fun. And I was starting to realize too that I'm a businesswoman, and the business side of me is not being fed by cooking for people every day.
Yeah,
and I was pretty good at it, but I truly didn't have the heart and the passion that some of the true yacht chefs. And so I'm yacht chef Judy right here. I went to cooking school in England
No way.
for that too. Whole nother story there.
Dang, girl, your resume is
Wild. Oh no, that's right.
This is amazing.
So I did all the things to be as prepared as possible, but what I didn't know is that my heart wasn't going to truly be in the part of the product, and my heart was 9 o'clock at night when everyone thought I was going to bed. I was working on the business because it was our business. I was sales and marketing. I was responding to inquiries. I was doing social media. I was doing all the things as a sales, marketing, client development person, businesswoman I thrived at.
You were lighting up at that point.
Yep. And so in that, I was talking with another crew who were working on an idea for a company called Yachtly. So in a transition there, transition to Yachtly, and crew in their early 30s, but didn't come from a business background. So I hear them talking about this idea for maybe an Airbnb for yacht charters or something, business and industry. And y'all, I'm like,
Bring it on.
how can I interject myself into this? And I heard them talking about putting a presentation together. I just offered my help.
Casually. You're like,
Casually, sincerely,
good at this.
but strategically.
But where did you hear them again? Sorry.
Oh, okay. So this is crew on another boat.
Yeah.
And they also had watched our dog and our boat. So we start Jake the boat dog. So we started to become friends with them. And it was off season. We were where were we? Down island, maybe in Grenada. And they mentioned they were working on something else. And I kept asking more. My business brain's like,
Right.
wait a second. So then when I heard a little more, I strategically and sincerely offered to help them with that presentation and just started to give it advice and guidance. Fast forward a few months, they were going to watch our boat and our dog for a week or two because we were going to come back to land. And she pulls me aside and says, so we think the idea is changing. We're trying to figure out what Yachtly is and isn't, but we need someone with a business background who also understands the industry. And we're curious, would you like to be our CEO?
wow.
And I'm sitting there going, what?
Yeah. I'm about to board on the flight and you're going to drop this on me right now.
Holy cow, that was not at all. Talking about coming out of left field, although I set it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I saw where I could be valuable and I was putting myself in the middle of it and I was helping. And then just the conversation, it went on from there. It ended up being literally what I call a lifeline to transition me from our decision to wind the boat business down and to move back to land, because now here's just a whole nother piece. You're working on something with your spouse.
Yeah.
Vince, my husband, we've been working on this for years together, and we were executing and we were doing really well. We were sold out every season. We were increasing our prices. People were coming back, but the heart of it, especially for me, I wasn't fulfilled. And you start to feel still even like a failure.
Yeah, I don't think that's talked about enough, because when people try to think about success, they just equate it to dollars, success in the business. But if your heart isn't in it, that weighs on you more than you can ever. It's hard to even express that. I mean, I've gone through seasons of that where it's just, you've got to kind of pull yourself out or make a decision that life has to change. Something has to change.
And I personally found myself slowly getting depressed.
Yeah.
It started affecting me mentally because I had to cook again. I had to cook again. And we'd worked so hard on this. And on paper and on social media,
Success.
I had the best office ever.
Right.
But some weeks I would not get off the boat.
Yeah.
And the work itself, it's the hardest job I'd ever done. We knew it was going to be hard, but 8 days of people on your boat, 14 hours a day, plus 2 days of prep. We would work 10 days straight, 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
And on top of it, it's the literally stuff is breaking down.
Right.
But again, all of that back to, I'm so much more of a person now from what I learned and experienced.
Right.
My patience. When you have a business on a boat in the Caribbean, nothing moves fast.
Right.
We had a car for a little while on land. We had to go to the DMV in the Virgin Islands, y'all. You know the DMV's hard enough. God bless you. It's literally a day. Anything's a day.
Deep breathing.
Everything's hard. How do you get, oh, it's raining. Well, how do I get ashore? My dinghy that isn't covered, you have to get soaking wet. What if you need a part? Well, can't find the part on island. So there were those other parts of it that in the midst of the realization that I just couldn't do this anymore. And I did start to feel a bit guilty that I was the one that brought it to my husband first. But after a few months, he thankfully, he could see it too.
Yeah.
He could see it more for me, but also for him. We had done this at a point in our career where we left corporate life. We walked away from, honestly, our prime wage earning years to do a lifestyle business on the boat. We'd done the numbers. When you do that business model, it is not a moneymaker.
Yeah.
My tan, y'all, amazing.
It's solid.
We had the permatan after 4 years in SPF 50 guys, sun shirts. It was all just very protected, but just like that natural glow.
Oh, I'm jealous.
We met amazing people. You really are a community down there. Talk about a community that not many people understand. And hopefully some of my boat friends will listen to this. They're still doing it. I've had a chance to continue to encourage other owner operators. Nikki and Scott, I'm going to do a shout out. I was consulting basically on sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey guys, this is how you build your business. I'm not sticking around, but here, let me help you.
Here's a
if
playbook.
this is where you guys want to be. The patience, the problem solving, traffic doesn't bother me anymore. I can't do anything about it.
You let it go.
It is.
Surrender to the process.
It is what it is. I don't have control over those other things too. So
It's funny you went from, in the story, so type A, to now it's just kind of this island laissez-faire. I'm going to go with the flow. Everything's going to be taken care of. But I feel like it's unique because everyone goes through, whether it's a job or a startup, whatever that is, but you kind of go through this journey of finding yourself and you evolve as a person, into your professional career. And you can see that in this story of just, you truly had to evolve to meet, to where you are now. But then also you're keep evolving. I mean, the changes that you're making now, it just shows that your evolution is nonstop. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I will say this, I'm in very much of a discovery growth mode right now. And I don't think I ever expected it.
Yeah.
Because more opportunities continue to present themselves. And just the way I am, my perspective on life now and how I want to use those experiences to help others. And it's not about me.
Right.
It's about what more can I do for other people and all of that.
Servant heart.
It is a servant heart. So we wound the business down. So now Yachtly, I have been brought on as co-founder and CEO, and things were a mess. They really did.
Y'all didn't know.
So I mean, literally a first to market startup, payments, fintech for the yacht charter industry. You already had to be an insider. It was a very tight knit group. So as me, with my background as owner operator in business, if anyone was going to have an opportunity of trying to get these customers to go from the status quo to utilizing an online payments platform, it was going to be me.
Yeah. You could speak that language.
And what is the status quo prior to that?
So what was really interesting is we can talk about entrepreneurship now was that when we had our boat business, Chaos Interrupted, we had already solved a pain point naturally. How people pay for these trips.
Okay.
Typically, you'd have 3 couples and they would want to pay in different ways and they have to pay in installments. And, 2 couples wanted to pay with credit card, 1 couple wanted to pay with Venmo. There were all these various forms. So to answer your question though, Pat, it was the wild, wild west. The brokers who booked the majority of these trips would say, one of you send me a wire. Or a check.
Right.
So literally we're talking 2020, 2021, 2024, and they're still operating in these antiquated payment terms at $10,000, $15,000, $20,000.
These are not small dollars.
So I'm like, okay, yes. Can we talk about right for disruption? There's an opportunity here. And there were so many other fragmented pieces of the industry that I could just see. So I could deal with chaos because I've started a company where I've been the entrepreneur where I could take not much and grow it into something.
Reinvent it.
But I can also see the bigger picture and that bigger opportunity. So I'm like, all right, Yachtly's my thing, y'all. And that's how
what
we
we
met.
met. Yes, I remember that.
I started getting involved again. Oh, all that. Back up. So when I was at the big law firm, most of our clients were in the tech space. So 10 years ago, I was already calling on the tech community in Atlanta, going to Venture Atlanta, making connections there, ATDC, ATV. And so I was also inspired by the entrepreneurial heart then, by the individuals that were risk takers. I just didn't know it was going to become me.
Right.
And surprise. So the journey with the Yachtly and us deciding to come back to Atlanta again, lots of prayer, reflection, where are the doors opening, closing, everything. It was like on the runway. All the signs were pointing back to Atlanta, but without water. But still, that's okay. This was where home was. And coming back to that story of that business person that said, if you come back here, I'd hire you in a heartbeat because you're here and you figured it out. Yes, we are here. I mean, maybe even before we kept wondering beach bar, boat business, somewhere else. Now this is home. It just took us a longer amount to figure that out. But getting back into the tech community, being a founder. But my joke is, y'all, we were pre-revenue, but I was the coolest kid on the block. And then you throw in the female founder. We try not at work. We try not to talk about, well, I'm just a founder, not a female founder. But there's so much support for founders. Yes. Even if you don't have money, they're just like, how can I help? How can I help? I mean, again, it was a breakfast.
Yeah, it was that investor
breakfast is where Tracy and I met, and you start meeting all these other risk takers. Because it's lonely. Yeah, it is lonely when you're that singular. So it ended up being, it was me and my co-founder, Peter, who's an attorney, a payments attorney. So when we were doing Yachtly, so the two that initially got me in, the crew, they kind of worked their way out because they realized they weren't business people. We flip-flopped. They decided they wanted to go back to the crew world. That the corporate life wasn't exactly for them. Meanwhile, I'm like, this is where I'm going to thrive.
You're thriving.
Yeah, this is going to be great. And I know the Atlanta community, Atlanta's fintech. So just all of those things. I got into It Takes a Village at Atlanta Tech Village. And now I've got 24 hours a day to think about Yachtly. What does Yachtly look like? What is the opportunity truly? And some of those other things that people don't talk about. But I started seeing signs that it was going to be a long road for Yachtly to make it.
What were those signs?
So while the market size is there globally, because it's first to market and the market was so fragmented, that it was just going to take a lot of time to get individuals to leave their status quo and for the actual consumer to start having a big enough pain point that they would start complaining and push back. And because the way the industry and does still work, if you don't send me that wire, you don't get that trip.
Yeah.
Well, 3 or 4 couples have now decided on that spring break vacation 18 months from now and on that boat, and okay, we'll go wire you the money.
Yeah, they've already planned ahead for this.
Meanwhile, but they're like, but I want to pay with a credit card. I want to pay this way and that way. On my own boat, we'd already done that. I got us a credit card processor and we took Venmo, and however the people wanted to pay, they paid.
Right.
Well, in the much bigger scheme of things, it was so obvious. And when I first started talking with Yachtly, it wasn't exactly the path they were going. But I'm like, y'all, it's a pain point.
It is.
Right.
And but then I started doing more customer discovery, which is I give a lot of credit to It Takes a Village and conversations with other founders. As a first-time tech founder now, I had a lot more to learn and grow, which was very humbling. The advisor to Yachtly, amazing. He was on his second company, built robots, all the things, and also very good at explaining the technology and talking with investors and what have you. And he is still a bit younger than me. And I just had to say, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
So these things are to say that I've learned over time in these different experiences. You also surround yourself with really good people. If
That's
you screw up,
key.
admit it.
Yep.
But also you got to take risks too. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can't sit back and wait for it to be perfect.
I think that's one of the biggest differences of entrepreneur and entrepreneurship is that level of appetite for risk, is being able to take a risk. And entrepreneur too, you have to be able to take risk. It's a different type of risk. But as an entrepreneur, the people that are too nervous about taking those risks and they kind of wait, the market keeps moving. And then the idea is out there. Someone else is going to have that great idea too. So you have to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
But you have to get a stomach for it. It's not easy.
You do. And I will say I'm fortunate that when we moved back, my husband's old company took him back.
That's great.
He reached out to them. They said, don't talk to anybody else. So we quickly had at least one source of income.
Yeah.
And health benefits. So that did make it a little bit easier on me. And for him to say, let's keep giving this a try. You're happier here. We can see the difference. Let's see what it looks like. You do the things that you should be doing. So Venture Atlanta in the fall. It takes a village, customer discovery. And I'm sure some of your listeners and viewers have heard this idea of how much of a pain is the pain point.
Yep.
Does it require a multivitamin? Does it require extra strength Tylenol all the way to morphine?
Yep.
So
I love that analogy. I actually haven't heard that one yet.
So I started analyzing how much of a pain point are we trying to solve with Yachtly? And it was a multivitamin. There were a few instances where my customers lost a deal because they didn't offer credit cards. They didn't offer this way. But it wasn't that big of a deal yet. That was $5,000, which I think would have been a lot of money to get you considering a change.
Absolutely.
Because also I'm a big believer in you have to look at consumer buyer behavior. We're living in a world where everyone is used to Amazon and paying the way that they wanted.
Yeah.
So I was very much of that forward thought and vision to say the consumers are going to start demanding something different, but we may be too early.
Yeah, it's almost like when you do market penetration. Like, you were the first disruptor. Did you disrupt too early enough that the market's not going to absorb that or comprehend that or even want to change? Because sometimes I've always thought that people don't realize how much of a pain state they have until they start to see a better way of doing it. But it takes a lot for someone to transition.
And timing is a big component of the entrepreneurial journey. Like to your point, if you're too early or too late, I mean, that has every bit of, impact on what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah. And how much control did we have over the parties that would be responsible for a portion of this fee? There were so many parts to it on top of you're talking about payments internationally, which is just that's complex too.
Right.
But yeah, hey, why not? Why not explore that route? But I started just my gut, and I learned earlier in my career that I had to trust my gut more because there would be times where I would want to say something in a meeting, but I didn't. And then a week later, someone else said it. And so that did build some confidence. And now I'm at a point where I understand business and market and talking to the customers and that you have to be real.
Yeah.
And that's probably because I am at a point in my career where I didn't have to be so all in, and also it was not my money either. So to be, honest, behind Yachtly, it was funded by my co-founder. So, I had a little bit in it, and it was a lot of sweat equity that we were hoping for.
Sure.
But how this kind of informed the path, but I couldn't invent customers.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't get people. Everyone kept saying it's a great idea, but can I do it for free? I'm like, I mean, no. I mean,
It's a business, not a hobby.
Yeah, and I actually, so we'll get to. We're probably running.
Oh no, you're fine. This is amazing. No, please keep going, please.
So I was starting to have those thoughts late last year. We're back. I'm going to be honest, I loved being on the founder side after being in professional services where everyone's like, I like you, Judy, but I don't need your services right now. And then, the yacht business, and I'll say this too, hospitality, I have so much more respect for people in hospitality.
That's a
That is
tough
a
industry.
hard job. That is a really hard job. So I learned that too. And then now being the founder of a tech startup, because that's so cool, right? That's where you want to be. Eventually, I learned that, when I applied for the second time for Venture Atlanta, that we were post-revenue at $1,500.
Yeah.
That's revenue, y'all. So you can put that on your application. But ultimately that I didn't know if we could raise money, and in raising the money, I could accelerate
Sure.
the time for us to get more adoption, or if the reality was that I wanted to be more with a growth stage company where I could thrive again, that I had all this experience, but I'm not 22 and eating ramen noodles and just out of college.
Right.
Yeah. And if we'd moved back to Atlanta, I want to knock this thing out.
Yeah.
And Yachtly just wasn't going to do it for me, but there were other people's money in this too. I treat that always like my own.
Yeah.
These are things, lessons learned along the way. That first law firm that I worked at, he said, today you are your name, LLC. Treat this like it's your own. And I've found that when people are given that space to operate and feel like they have ownership, even that early on as an intern, I treated it that way.
Yeah.
So that has transferred throughout my career. I've always treated expense accounts as if that's my own money.
Yeah.
Or in the case of Yachtly, it wasn't my money, but there was a lot of, there were other people that were involved with this, the angel investors and what have you. And so it was hard. It was hard on the empath to also say, I don't know, but I think I need something different and more. So I was super close to starting to put together whatever that might be. Growth stage, something, but entrepreneurial. What does this look like? Reconnected with my colleague. Shout out to Josh McAfee. Some of y'all might know him. He is a serial entrepreneur on his, now fourth company at the time. He was just about to launch it. His third company was in the staffing and recruiting space. He and I had met 10 years ago at Venture Atlanta through a mutual friend.
This networking
is another thing
out.
and
To everybody.
I know. And Josh has a gift for staying in touch with people. He really does. And even when I was on the boat, he would call me on my birthday. Little did I know, but that's still his thing.
Yeah.
Calling people on their birthday. And you talk about an impact that makes. So I'm in the middle of making someone's damn lunch again. And I see the phone ring, and it's Josh. I'm like, why is Josh McAfee calling me? But he was really one of the, I would say, just my networked individuals that personally stayed in touch with me while I was on the boat.
Yeah.
You talk to him now, we can get him on too. He was a little self-serving, I think, or Josh. But we reconnected in January just to catch up. Josh is also an angel investor. So he's grown startups. He's mentored startups. He's been at ATDC, ATV. And
He's done the whole rounds. Yeah.
He's done it all. So just someone else's, I was starting to think, gosh, what am I going to do with Yachtly? Let's talk to someone else. And we sat there at that lunch, but I'd not told him that I was thinking about looking for something else. And he says, Judy, if I had something for you, I would hire you in a heartbeat.
Wow.
Like, well, this is really interesting. And again, behind the scenes, I'm still trying to figure out, I haven't talked with the co-founder yet, but I've already put some data forward with Yachtly that shows this is going to be a long road.
Yeah.
Even if we raise money. 3 days later, my phone rings. It's Josh McAfee again. I'm like, why is he calling me again? It's like, hey, Josh, what's up? He's like, I'm going to ask you a question and I'm going to apologize in advance. This is Josh. This is a question you shouldn't ask a founder. You should never ask a founder this question, but I got to ask you this question. I was like, what is it? What is it? He says, in your heart of hearts, is your startup going to make it?
Wow. That is a loaded and deep question.
I asked a question back because I was still thinking with an entrepreneurial CEO.
Harris.
Josh is a friend. He's also an angel investor.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, is this a personal question or is it a professional question?
There you go.
So depending on his answer, he said it was personal.
Which hat are you going to put on?
So I took that, to mean I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say, it's not Yachtly for me. I'm going to try to figure out what to do with Yachtly, but I want to be in a place where I can get in probably to a more established brand and help with its growth.
Yeah.
And maybe really just blow it out of the water for the next 10 years. And he's like, that's great. You're hired.
Wow. You're like,
My question is, for what?
I was gonna say, for what, Josh? You're coming in.
For what, Josh? He's like, oh, we'll figure all that out later. What? So just kind of, I mean, to then just share where I am now in this journey, in this career story. So we started talking about it. Josh, serial entrepreneur, he was wanting to start his next company. He needed someone, so he has a co-founder, he needed someone to replace him on the sales side and someone that could come in and grow into a true partner. And him knowing my story and seeing where I've been, it just to him, it was like, it was obvious.
Yeah.
It was so obvious that I could be the right person to come in and complement the other co-founder who was becoming CEO, to bring my love of people and relationships and client development. And on top of it, having run a tech startup.
Yeah.
Because what the company Human's doing is that we help people build or hire their teams. And I completely just botched our little line there.
He's not listening. Don't worry.
I know. Sorry, Josh. We help people in tech hire or make great career decisions. There it is. I totally just blanked on it. Oh my goodness. But I'm also real. I'm a lot more real now than I used to be. That whole like I have to be perfect.
Yes. Yep.
Or they're not going to answer my email.
Yeah.
Or this or that. Holy cow, I just botched something. But that's okay.
Hey, I stuttered within the first 2 seconds of this podcast, so it's real.
But it's in a people space. We work with tech companies. We help them identify and grow their dream teams. So we're literally like the most important part of a company is that we're matchmaking, if you will. And this is such an important piece to bottom line or culture or what have you. And when you're a growth stage company, most of these founders have never done it before. So I get to be consultative. I get to be strategic. And it's so much more than just a transaction. So, Josh is like, the industry is a bit commoditized, but we need someone that can bring a different element to it.
Right.
I think that that's you, from truly being a partner versus here's a job description.
Yeah.
Can you fill this for me? And Josh had also mentioned, because he wanted to hire me to fire himself, which kind of happened so that he could start his next company, which is called Career Whisperer. So he's taken 30 years of helping executives in career transition and having written a book about it to make a platform now.
Wow.
And to work and to launch that over the past number of months to the point that I am now getting to oversee strategy in 2 ways. So I'm looking at growth on the recruiting side in the B2B space over the next 3 to 5 years. What does that look like? As well as how can we grow our B2C Career Whisperer platform? Because Josh is our visionary, but he doesn't want to run sales day in and day out in strategy.
Does this sound familiar?
Yeah, he also, one of the things that I've learned, and I channel this now, is you got to know when to get out of the way.
Yep.
To surround yourself with really good people. So, in him saying, Judy, I want you to come in and grow as a partner, I need to get out of the way now so that Humans Doing can grow in the way that makes the most sense. And now with Career Whisperer, I've got this idea. We've got something really great, but I need someone else to help out with the strategy. And I'm still in a state of disbelief right now about how perfect a fit it is. And I mean, so many themes: relationships, connections, working hard in whatever it is that you personally have and what you're doing in that moment in time. And now being a place where, what type of a leader am I? How can I inspire others? Because that's what's happening right now. That whole idea of helping people be where they grow and thrive. That's where Josh has now given me an opportunity that I didn't fully see it yet.
Yeah.
On paper, the industry that I didn't come from, and women can be guilty of something that I probably wouldn't have applied for it.
Right.
Because the industry wasn't something that I had experience in.
And you didn't check off the boxes.
Yeah, I didn't check all the boxes. And then I'm talking with my husband, who has been in the same industry his entire career. And he asked me, well, how many different industries have you touched yet with a client development, sales, or marketing lens eye? And I started counting many. I mean, the legal space, that was first, and then it was real estate. Oh my goodness, wait, we started a boat business in the Caribbean. Details. I know, minor details. I'm a first mate. I'm a dive instructor. Like all these things
And a
I
chef.
have to learn. And a chef. All these things that, oh, look, I actually have an ability. I can use what's natural about me and my business skill sets, and it can transcend the industry. So, here again, back to what you were saying, is like just wanting to meet the people.
Yep.
And I'm seeing that more and more now as we are helping companies place people. The clients are saying, no, we don't need a certain degree.
Yeah.
No, I'll still talk to them. I want to learn more about them. So that worry of mine that was, if I have a gap on my LinkedIn profile and my resume, am I going to get the next job? And now here I'm sitting here talking with you guys about this nonlinear journey that has truly landed me exactly where God meant for me to be and where I am thriving. But it's mind-boggling, and I'm just so humbled by the opportunity to continue to learn and grow every day. But to also be surrounded, I'm still in a very entrepreneurial environment where I get to put ideas forward and they may or may not work. I love that. But again, it's not my money in the bank right now. I mean, money I'm bringing in from a sales standpoint, but I'm back to a little bit of the intrapreneur. But getting to figure out how to create a whole go-to-market strategy for a couple different verticals that haven't really existed together. And to me, that's exciting. I've created it in different places in my career that's now got me here to where it's just, again, I'm really thrilled and humbled by it all, that the Judy of many years ago that wasn't the risk taker. Now we'll say to people, what's the worst that could happen? You move back to Atlanta and you find a really great career.
Do you feel, it sounds to me like almost you went full circle there, right? You kind of, that's awesome. That's amazing.
What do you think is the biggest difference in yourself as a person? Take out the professional, the career side, but you as Judy, what do you think has been the biggest change throughout this entire journey?
It's hard to just say biggest
or most impactful. One thing that just sticks out to your...
Really, and something that's become more obvious to me, I would say, in the past couple of years, is that I don't have control over anybody else. And as someone who is a self-admitted type A perfectionist, that can hamper you in your career at times.
Absolutely.
Because that person didn't respond to my email the same amount of time I would, or they didn't do it the way I wanted to do it. And now that I have let go, that I don't have control over all of that, I'm going to do what I think is right and try to, be of use and helpful to other people and help them grow and learn. It's allowed me to be more relaxed and less anxious.
Interesting.
Because I also had struggled with anxiety over the years, just things that happened earlier in life.
Right.
And then the boat business
and good
and then
company.
depression and anxiety, they start building on each other because I want it to be perfect. And then I get to sit here, but it's just, it comes with time.
It does.
It comes with time and experience. But this is a lesson I wish I would have learned many years ago. Stop worrying about if that car is going to pull out in front of me and make me have to slam on my brakes. You know what? I don't have any control over that person.
Yeah.
What I have control over is how I react. And so what I'm most appreciative, I would say, about the boat experience is how I can solve problems in 5 different ways now. As the academic who was studying history and was considering, those different paths, being married to someone who has a much more mechanical mind. He's in construction. He sees how to fix problems. He can MacGyver about anything, which was really fortunate on a boat.
Yeah, that's a nice skill to have.
But now if something goes wrong, I'm chill about it. And I start thinking about alternate solutions.
Right.
And if that's, those solutions don't always have to be the best, but they're a solution. I'll share this too. One little story. When we were living down in South Florida, the house had a gate around it. And unbeknownst to both me and my husband, the gate could be opened on both sides. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
So one day we had come home And we decided to not go in the front door. We were going to go through the gate. And I reached through to push the button from the inside to open the gate. And my husband goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm opening the gate." He goes, "No, it opens from out here." He didn't know it opened from the inside.
How?
I didn't know it opened from the outside. And we saw that time and time again on the boat. The way we wanted to solve problems was usually very different.
Mhm.
And for me, it could be a little frustrating because I wanted to get it so perfect. But there's more than one solution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay too. Just try to do your best. Ask others, ask for help.
Yeah, that's so key.
And then to now be able to sit in that place where, there's a lot of interesting ways to see problems in life now. And if I can help others see that and learn and grow from it, that's satisfying too.
Yeah, and speaking to that, how did you reframe? So a lot of people who are going through that entrepreneurial journey closing up shop on a startup is extremely common. It's more common than not. But how do you reframe that? Because the way that you're communicating and telling the story, insanely inspirational. So you are just such an incredible woman and leader. But going through that journey, how do you not get in your own way of thinking, okay, I'm putting quotes, I failed. It's not failure. It's a decision to evolve and to make a change, and chapters, open and close. How did you handle that? And then how would you teach someone who might be going through that, where they know that it's probably time, but they're too scared to make that step for fear that it looks like failure, even though it's not?
Yeah. And I think this comes back to something we don't talk enough about. I remember many years ago, there was, I think maybe a quarterly conversation. They called it F Up Nights, which I loved because I loved hearing the stories about what went wrong, how that turned into something even better. That whole idea that in the moment you may not know what's going on or what's meant to be, but typically something will come from this. And so to kind of answer that question, that when I went back, so I didn't finish the It Takes a Village program because I switched to Humans Doing in the middle of the program. So I didn't feel that it was right to continue to be there as that founder, what all the programming was for. And I went to, including Allie Merritt, and I'm like, y'all, I think I need to resign. They're like, "What, resign?" Like, but I'm not a fit anymore for the program. What I applied for isn't the same anyway. And I think that's the first time someone's done it. They actually would just ghost the program and just not show up. But I physically said everything that I learned helped me make that decision. So I'm very data driven. So I would just say this, I have to be careful about just going off of feelings. Because feelings, we all have them, but what's true and what's not
Comes and goes.
And we're talking about business now. So what does the data show me? What can and can't be done? We're talking about people's livelihoods. And if there's just, if it's not going to make sense, and this is what I did. I put the data out in front of my co-founder, and I like to lead a horse to water. He saw the signs there too.
Yeah.
So it reaffirmed the way that I was looking at it. The failure piece, again, I have to say that I believe some of that just comes with time, and not being so hard on myself.
Yeah. But
that's just a combination of the past number of years. In the moment with the boat, I was very hard on myself. It was hard to say to my husband, I can't keep doing this. And that's not only going to impact me, it's going to impact you. But then when he came around, and now that we're back, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. But I didn't get that affirmation until later, until a little bit of a dark season.
Yeah.
So you do the best with what you have and what you know in the moment. I say, don't do it in a vacuum. Talk to people, get information, again, whatever belief, higher power, what have you. And then you have to make a decision. You do. You ultimately, for better or for worse, you have to say, okay, I'm pulling it.
Yeah.
And then when I had that conversation with the co-founder at Yachtly, and I had already laid out the data, I was so nervous. I had notes for our call, and he was like, okay. I had worked up so much in my head what that conversation was going to go like, and say, I can't continue with Yachtly. We have to figure out what this looks like. And he was like,
Okay.
Yeah, I
He kind of thought that anyway.
Yeah.
It was there.
I had a previous experience like that too, where for like 2 months, I couldn't sleep. I was writing all my notes down how I was going to have a conversation with someone about exiting
Yeah.
a business. And the day I did it, I had this like 2 hour in my head. It's going to take 2 hours. I have to start from the beginning. And it literally took 10 minutes. And then after that, it was more about, I just want to make sure that you're taken care of. And it became personal versus the business side of it, because that person really genuinely cared as well for a human. And when you're in business with someone like that understands, it kind of like, after a while, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't sleep for 2 months writing down all my notes and what am I going to say? And if he says this, what does this happen this way? And none of that ever occurred. It was just very plain and simple.
It's so interesting to see. I mean, it's business, right? We all know it. We're all in business. It's numbers at the end of the day. You're meeting metrics, all this stuff. But there is a human aspect. I mean, humans doing, right? It goes in. There is a very real human aspect of business. And when you're a co-founder, when we're working together and all those aspects, like there is that fear that you're going to let someone down or you're going to let yourself down. I mean, you can't get around that. And I think what you just said is really powerful, because you're not always going to see that. I mean, we've made 1,010 mistakes. We make mistakes all the time. I have ideas that flop all the time. I'm the one that comes up with crazy ideas, throws it at him, and he's the operator brain. He's like, never going to happen. And then I cry in a corner and then I bounce back. No, I'm kidding. But you've got to sit there and realize that you might not be able to see why right now. And to your point, if you believe in a higher power, what that looks like, sometimes leaning on someone around you or leaning on something bigger than you can help you get through that season. And you might not know why it's happening. You just know in your gut that a change has to happen. Mm-hmm. And then if you give yourself that grace to go through it, and then when you stand up, like to your point now, you could have never even dreamed of a more perfect scenario. I mean, it's just everything lined up so beautifully for you that like, I don't even think I could put that on paper of matching it up. It's truly magical. Yeah. It's so, I mean, your story it's amazing. I think it's going to inspire a lot of people who are going through that journey, because sometimes people in the founder space or executive space, they think it's linear, right? They think they're going to climb their way to the top, the next one, the next one, the next one. And it really isn't. It's messy. It changes. It's chaos interrupted, right? It's a nice plug for the boat. But you've got to give yourself the grace to just have fun along in the journey. Like if you're going to take a left, you're going to take a right, you're going to hit a wall, you're going to fall down, you're going to get back up. But it's supposed to be fun. And I think when you can reframe your brain on that, it really changes the whole experience.
I can safely say you're a unicorn.
Yeah.
When it comes to business, and you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. You love people, you understand tech. And when you combine all that together,
powerful,
you're a force to be reckoned with on the way you view things, even the way like being risk avert in the first part of your career to then understanding that you don't need to be so risk avert, right? Yeah. I still get nervous with people driving in Atlanta. So full disclosure, I still get nervous for that. But I think that you are a unicorn in a sense, the way you, one, just present yourself, but two, your experiences and the wanting to help people. And I think a lot of founders sometimes make the mistakes that their sole purpose to be visionaries, right? Mm-hmm. And then the sole purpose of an entrepreneur is not to be visionary. No, you need that mixture of both. You need the person who's driving the business also to have a vision. They just can't be stuck in the data. They need to also make emotional decisions. They have to understand how all these things all work together. And I think that you're one of those unique unicorns that have you have a little bit of everything into one mix, right? Which will allow you. And I think the big part of that is, you brought up the beginning of your childhood, like when you're going to college and not knowing what you're doing. You're here. You want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor anymore, right? Our components, all of those things, I think, shaped you of who you are today. So I think that individual that you're working with now, I think they're lucky to have you on their team.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous that we didn't know that this was happening, because I mean, dang, he come run.
Yeah, it definitely is for a co-founder or founder or someone with an idea. Yeah. To have someone like that to build a business with, they're also lucky too, right? They hit the jackpot, right? And so in your eyes, you're like, I hit the jackpot. I've never thought of a perfect fit like this. In their eyes, they're like, I hit the jackpot. Yeah. I have a perfect fit for the partnership.
And I will say that every day we all sit in a lot of gratitude. It goes both ways, about appreciating what everyone brings to the table and being supportive and helpful. And it's really a special environment to be able to work within. because I recognize not everybody has that, but we can at least all start with ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, how can we help others? How can we not be judgmental? You know, if someone, I was sharing earlier, we had a client that hadn't heard from in a while. And first I was really frustrated because hurry up and wait. And then I switched gears to, oh, I wonder if something's wrong.
Right.
I mean, because we're human.
Yeah.
The thing that's not going to go away in this world of, I mean, AI and everything we're talking about is this. And that's, you know, for the younger entrepreneurs. And I was talking with one, Ty, Atlanta, we had an event on Wednesday night, and I was moderating, and one of the ladies there, not too far out of college, and I was encouraging the element of relationship building
Right.
still, because I think something's a little lost just
Right.
between COVID and just the life in general, our devices and what have you.
Right.
But if you can hear that theme of relationships and connectivity, and this is what I was saying to her, I was like, I didn't know that the guy that I met 10 years ago at Venture Atlanta would be such a part of my story and my career now. So you never truly know. And then watching how people have helped me, and then in turn you just want to pay it forward. So those are just the little things. I think in general they're life lessons.
Yeah.
They're not just entrepreneurial lessons. It's just about being a good person. But in business too, I would love to just I want to continue. Again, I'm fortunate to be in a place where it's so supportive and helpful, and it's not just about the transaction. It's about more.
I like what you said there, giving that advice, because I recently just was talking to one of my mentors, and he was in the middle of a business meeting as well. And he's taught me something, that when you go into a business lunch or business dinner, the last thing you want to talk about is the business. And that's his philosophy. And if you think of it, he basically said, I sat at a meeting, it was a business meeting. It's been trying to close for 4 years. And the whole entire time we just talked about vacations, their kids, my kids, his kids play football, my kids play football. And the last 5 minutes, the guy said, all right, we'll get this deal done. And that was because he got to know that person, and he didn't just take that person out just for the business itself. That guy's probably done 50 meetings about this business deal, but he really wanted to get to know the person, connect with the person, make the person feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, it's like, I actually like the guy a lot. So like outside of business, I actually genuinely like the guy. But I feel like when I give younger entrepreneurs or younger founders or even executives, talk to everyone, get to know them. You never know that path may cross, to your point, 10 years later, those paths may cross again. And never burn a bridge.
And never, I mean, the way that we met was I was selling to him. So he owned another company, and I was selling the software of the company we now own to him. And he was like, wow, actually, I could sell the shit out of this. And it kind of turned around. And then now we're running this company together. But you never know. You never know who is going to cross paths. I think
that. And I was like, why is she so obsessed with bathrooms?
All right. You know, the story for another day. Judy, I cannot thank you enough for telling your story. It is truly going to inspire so many people. And just thank you for spending this hour with us. It is such an honor to be able to be here with you and just to listen to this incredible journey that you have. We can't thank you.
But I want to do rapid fire, because there's no way I'm going to let her go without a rapid fire. So a quick 3-4 question rapid fire.
Okay.
Best memory on your yacht?
The opportunity to scuba dive off the back of our own boat.
Oof.
You're not beholden by anybody else's timeline or location or what have you. It's the two of us jumping off the boat, getting to go down there. I hope we get to do something like that again, but yeah, very special.
Most memorable dive. You don't have to say
most memorable.
What did you see, and where were you?
So mermaid. Oh my goodness. I know I've not seen a mermaid. So I'll say rapid fire. So I love spotted eagle rays. They're these amazing creatures. They're rays, but they look like they're just gliding through the water, and they've got they're black with these white spots. And I've seen them in the Caribbean. I think Guadeloupe was one location. an island called Saba in the British Virgin Islands. So more just when I see a creature like that, I call it scuba zen. It's just so peaceful getting to see something else and realize there's a whole nother under the sea world and environment.
All right, this is a very blunt question, but only honest answer. When did you notice you were a badass? Like, when did you know that? When did you look at yourself in the mirror and be like, wow, I could do anything right now?
You know, I might turn this into a lesson for our listeners. I don't know that I do.
Okay.
I am humble. I'm still very humble. I'm just, I in gratitude every day that the person that I am gets to do what I do. And, along the way, I have had a lot of bumps and bruises and scrapes, and it's a lot easier now sitting here doing something like this.
Right.
Getting asked to do a podcast or, I think maybe, okay, I'll say this, you kind of touched on it, but when some others within the Atlanta tech community heard that Josh got me, we got some of the, I didn't even know she was available.
I'm a little pissed.
So that piece, it was hearing it through other people's eyes. But I want to continue to keep that humble spirit because I think that's what's going to keep me grounded. But I'm very flattered.
You are that too.
I will tell you that you're a badass.
Sarah, to
Honest.
people, you're a badass.
Absolutely.
I guess when I'm at networking and someone's like, "What do you do? What did you do?"
That's amazing.
It's part of my story.
Well, it's been an honor to
It has been an honor.
know you.
Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the time. Absolutely.